Welcome back to the channel, guys. As you can see from the picture on the screen, we are looking at the 2000 FA Cup final between Aston Villa and Chelsea. This was the last final at the old Wembley Stadium. After the final, 5 months later, it closed down, ready for demolish. It was held on May the 20th, 2000. It was the 119th FA Cup final and the 72nd and last to be held at the old Wembley Stadium. Chelsea were making a visit only 3 years after they won it in 1997, and Aston Villa were making their first appearance at Wembley in an FA Cup final for the first time since 1957 when they won. The finals after 2000, in 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, were held at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff. The irony is that Chelsea won the last final at the old stadium, and they also won the first final at the new stadium. As you can see, both teams were captained by Dennis Wise for Chelsea, who happened to be the man of the match in the end, and Gareth Southgate, the former England manager, was the captain of Aston Villa. As you can see from the tables, that Chelsea were drawn against Hull City away in the third round and had quite a comfortable win, 6-1 at Hull. Then they played Nottingham Forest at Stamford Bridge in the fourth round and won 2-0. Leicester they played again at Stamford Bridge and won 2-1. And in the sixth of quarterfinals, Chelsea played Gillingham and won 5-0. On to the semi-final, which was held at Wembley Stadium, in which they beat Newcastle United 2-1. Aston Villa's run to the final was in the third round. They were drawn at home against Darlington, of which they just managed to scrape through 2-1. Then again, they were drawn at home in the fourth round of Southampton and won 1-0. In the fifth round, they were drawn at home against Leeds United and won 3-2. And in the sixth round of the quarterfinals, they were drawn away at Everton, of which they won 2-1. As you can see, semi-final, they were drawn against Bolton Wanderers, again at the Wembley Stadium. That ended 0-0 after extra time and then penalties, and Aston Villa won 4-1 on penalties. So looking at the two runs to the final, you can see that Aston Villa were a little bit more stretched in their games than some of the Chelsea games. There were in attendance 78,217 people, and it was refereed by Graham Poll from Hertfordshire. As you can see from Chelsea's team, not really a great deal of change. Normal team that they were playing in, week out. And Aston Villa were basically the same. Chelsea were managed by Gianluca Vialli and Aston Villa by John Gregory. As you can see that each team named 5 substitutes, including a goalkeeper, and they were allowed to use 3 substitutes for the match. A little bit different from what they are now, but if you remember from the 1972 Cup final I did, where there were only 1 named substitute, and that's all clubs were allowed to have. Kickoff was at 3:15 and it was played on Saturday the 20th of May 2000. The match was over 90 minutes. If it was drawing at the time, you would get 30 minutes of extra time, and then if needed there would be a penalty shootout at the end. As you can see from statistics, Chelsea had 5 attempts on goal to Aston Villa's 11. There were 2 corner kicks for Chelsea and 3 to Aston Villa. Chelsea committed 17 fouls, where Aston Villa committed 14. Chelsea were caught offside 5 times and Aston Villa twice. And there were 5 yellow cards, 3 to Chelsea and 2 to Aston Villa. No red cards were shown in this game. Following a very full first half in which chances created were limited, Chelsea were generally the better team. There were 3 bookings in the first half, 2 to Chelsea and 1 to Aston Villa. In the 16th minute, Gareth Barry was booked for a tackle, and in the 18th minute, Melchior Marriott was also booked for a tackle, and Dennis Wise was booked in the 28th minute. George Weah missed several chances, and the Chelsea captain Dennis Wise had a goal disallowed for offside when Gareth Southgate headed wide. At the end of the first half, no goals, it was 0-0. Both teams should have been satisfied with their play, even though no goals were given. In the second half, again, it started off pretty mundane. Chelsea had the better chances than Aston Villa, even though Aston Villa created more chances in and around goal. But on the 73rd minute, Roberto Di Matteo scored what was to prove to be the only goal of the game. He capitalised on an error from Aston Villa goalkeeper David James to score from close range. Chelsea had a free kick, which James came off his line to try to deal with, but he fumbled the ball. The ball hit Gareth Southgate's chest, and Di Matteo was there to blast the ball into the back of the net to make it 1-0. Villa tried hard to find an equaliser, but failed with their best chance falling to Benito Carboni, who shot tamely at Ed De Hoy, and who was saved it. Gus Poyet and George Boateng were both booked in the 90th minute for dissent. That's all for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, if you'd like to put a comment in the box concerning this edition, let me know if there are any others that you want me to do a summary on. If not, thank you for watching. If you've liked it, could you give me the thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.